Life has a way of teaching us lessons, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. One of the most valuable lessons we can learn is that our growth must always come first. Too often we get caught up in people, situations, and expectations that pull us away from our true selves. We invest our time, energy, and emotions into relationships that no longer serve us, into trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed, and into seeking validation from those who barely acknowledge our worth. But the truth is, the moment we start prioritizing ourselves, everything begins to change. Focusing on yourself is not about being selfish, it's about self-respect. It's about recognizing that your time is valuable, your energy is sacred, and your well-being should never come second to someone else's lack of appreciation. We live in a world where we are constantly told to be there for others, to give, to compromise, to understand, but rarely are we told that it's okay to step back, to say no, to put ourselves first. The reality is, when you keep sacrificing your peace for people who wouldn't do the same for you, you are only delaying your own progress. Growth demands attention. It requires effort, discipline, and a willingness to step outside of comfort zones. But how can you truly grow when you are constantly tangled in situations that keep you stagnant? When you keep pouring into others but leave yourself empty? The answer is, you can't. That's why letting go is necessary. Letting go of the guilt, the attachments, the endless cycles of disappointment. Letting go of the belief that you owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. Many of us hold on to people because we fear being alone. We fear that without them, something will be missing in our lives. But have you ever considered that what's really missing is you? Your passion, your peace, your sense of purpose, buried beneath the weight of people who don't deserve a front row seat in your life. The moment you shift your focus inward, everything changes. You start realizing that your happiness was never meant to depend on someone else's presence. You start rediscovering your strengths, your ambitions, your own voice, and most importantly, you start attracting the kind of energy that aligns with your growth instead of hindering it. There will always be people who won't understand your journey. They may call you distant, selfish, or even cold when you decide to prioritize yourself. But their opinions do not define you. They do not live your life, they do not feel your struggles, and they do not walk your path. If someone truly values you, they will respect your decision to grow, even if it means growing apart. The ones who are meant to be in your life will adjust to your evolution. The ones who don't will fade away. And that's okay. Focusing on yourself means setting boundaries. It means recognizing what no longer aligns with your peace and making the conscious decision to walk away from it. It means understanding that not everyone is meant to stay, and that's not a loss, it's a lesson. Every time you let go of something that holds you back, you make room for something better. Every time you say no to what drains you, you say yes to what fulfills you. And that is where true growth happens. At the end of the day, the people who truly matter will never require you to dim your light to keep them around. Your journey is yours alone, and the more you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, the more you'll realize that those who are meant to be part of your story will meet you at your level. So let them go, focus on you, and trust that everything else will fall into place. Life is a journey of constant change, and one of the hardest truths to accept is that not everyone is meant to stay. We often hold on to people longer than we should, believing that every connection we make is meant to last forever. But the reality is, some people are only meant to be in our lives for a season, a lesson, or a moment of growth. The problem begins when we refuse to accept this and try to force relationships that have already run their course. We grow attached to people because of the memories, the shared experiences, and the comfort they once brought us. But just because someone played an important role in your past doesn't mean they are meant to be part of your future. Holding on to people who no longer align with your path only keeps you stuck. It keeps you revisiting old wounds, replaying the same disappointments, and expecting change from those who have no intention of growing. Growth is not a group project. Sometimes it requires walking away, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough to stop forcing something that no longer serves you. People change, circumstances shift. And sometimes, no matter how much history you share with someone, they are simply not meant to continue the journey with you. It's painful to accept, but necessary. When you cling to relationships out of fear of loss, you only delay the inevitable. The truth is, when someone is meant to be in your life, they will be. You won't have to beg for their attention, convince them of your worth, or constantly chase their presence. The right people will stay because they see your value without needing reminders. Letting go is not about resentment or anger. It's about making peace with the fact that not everyone can walk every step of the journey with you. Some people come to teach you something. Maybe they teach you how to love, how to trust, or even how to protect your heart. Others come to show you what you don't want, what you will no longer tolerate, and what you truly deserve. Either way, every person you encounter serves a purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, it's okay to move on. The mistake many of us make is believing that if we just try harder, if we just give more, if we just hold on a little longer, things will magically fall into place. But relationships, whether friendships, family bonds, or romantic connections, require mutual effort. If you find yourself constantly giving while the other person is only taking, it's time to ask yourself why you are holding on. Is it love, or is it fear? Is it a connection or just a habit? You don't lose real people by focusing on yourself. You lose those who were never truly invested in your growth to begin with. And when you finally let them go, you make room for the people who genuinely belong in your life. The ones who match your energy, respect your boundaries, and celebrate your journey without conditions. It's easy to dwell on the ones who left, to question what went wrong, or to wish things had turned out differently. But every time you look back, you take energy away from your future. Stop trying to make someone stay when life is showing you it's time to move on. The right people will never require you to beg for their presence. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It means you trust that what's ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. And the moment you embrace that truth, you'll realize that losing the wrong people is never a loss. It's a step toward becoming exactly who you're meant to be. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you have. It affects your mindset, your emotions, your ability to grow, and the kind of people and experiences you attract into your life. But too often we waste that energy on the wrong things, on people who don't appreciate us, on situations that drain us, on trying to prove our worth to those who will never see it. And in the process, we lose sight of ourselves. There comes a point when you have to ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Not everyone deserves access to your energy. Not everyone deserves your time, your attention, or your effort. Some people will take everything you have to give and still leave you feeling empty. You cannot afford to keep pouring into people who do not pour back into you. Relationships, whether friendships, family, or romantic connections, should be a two-way street. When you constantly give and receive nothing in return, you are not in a relationship. You are in a cycle of exhaustion. The truth is, not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people are only interested in you when you are useful to them. They come around when they need something, when they're lonely, when they're bored. And when you need them, they are nowhere to be found. Yet, you keep making excuses for them, believing that if you just give a little more, they will finally change. But people don't change unless they want to. And if they wanted to treat you better, they would have already done so. Protecting your energy means setting boundaries. It means recognizing when someone is draining you rather than uplifting you and having the courage to walk away. It means understanding that you do not have to explain yourself when you choose peace over chaos, self-respect over disrespect, and self-love over the illusion of connection. Some people will call you selfish for prioritizing yourself. Let them. Their opinions do not matter when your peace is at stake. You cannot grow if you are constantly weighed down by negativity. The people you surround yourself with either inspire you or exhaust you. There is no in-between. When you start focusing on yourself, you will notice a shift. You will notice that certain people no longer feel right to be around. Conversations that once entertained you now seem meaningless. Situations that once consumed your energy now feel draining instead of fulfilling. That is not a coincidence. That is growth. And growth requires you to let go of anything that does not align with the person you are becoming. It is not your responsibility to fix people, to heal them, to carry their burdens at the expense of your own happiness. You can love people and still walk away from them. You can care about them and still protect yourself from their negativity. Love should never come at the cost of your peace. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. When you protect your energy, you start attracting better things. You start drawing in people who respect your time, who appreciate your presence, who don't drain you but instead pour into you. You start noticing that life feels lighter, your mind feels clearer, and your emotions feel more stable, because you are no longer allowing unnecessary negativity to consume your space. Let go of the guilt that comes with choosing yourself. Let go of the fear that tells you that if you walk away, you will be left with nothing. You are not losing anything of value when you distance yourself from those who only bring you stress. You are gaining peace, clarity, and a future that is no longer tied to energy that was never meant for you. The right people will never require you to compromise your peace. Protect your energy, focus on yourself, and trust that by doing so, you are making space for the life you truly deserve. There is a common misconception that prioritizing yourself is selfish. Society teaches us to always put others first, to be accommodating, to make sacrifices for the sake of relationships, and to constantly prove our loyalty. But what happens when that loyalty comes at the expense of your own well-being? What happens when you keep giving to the point where there is nothing left for yourself? The truth is, self-focus is not selfish. It is necessary. It is the foundation of growth, happiness, and peace. And until you understand that, you will continue to feel drained, unfulfilled, and stuck in cycles that do not serve you. Focusing on yourself does not mean neglecting or disregarding others. It simply means recognizing that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. It means understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup, that you cannot keep giving and expecting to thrive when you are running on empty. You are not responsible for constantly making others happy at the cost of your own joy. You do not have to sacrifice your dreams, your mental health, or your boundaries just to keep people in your life. The right people will respect your need to take care of yourself. The wrong ones will try to make you feel guilty for it. Many of us feel obligated to always be available, to say yes even when we want to say no, to show up for people who wouldn't do the same for us. We fear disappointing others, losing connections, or being seen as cold or distant. But the reality is, the more you neglect yourself, the more you teach others that your needs don't matter. And once people realize you will always prioritize them over yourself, they will continue to take advantage of that. That is why boundaries are essential. They are not about shutting people out. They are about making it clear what you will and will not accept. When you start focusing on yourself, some people will not like it. They will call you selfish because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. They will accuse you of changing as if change is a bad thing. But what they are really saying is, I liked you better when you put me before yourself. And that is exactly why self-focus is so important. Because when you live for others, you lose yourself. You lose your voice, your confidence, your passion. You start living according to their expectations instead of your own purpose. Focusing on yourself means becoming the best version of you. It means working on your goals without seeking approval. It means investing in your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. It means removing yourself from environments that no longer serve you, even if that means walking away from certain people. It means choosing peace over drama, fulfillment over obligation, and self-love over constant self-sacrifice. The more you focus on your own journey, the more you will attract people who align with your growth. People will always have opinions about how you should live your life, but at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the consequences of your choices. You are the one who has to wake up every day and either feel drained because you are living for others or empowered because you are living for yourself. And that is a decision only you can make. Do not feel guilty for prioritizing your happiness. Do not apologize for focusing on yourself. The people who truly care about you will understand, and those who don't were never meant to stay in your life. Keep growing, keep evolving, and never forget that self-focus is not selfish. It is the key to everything you have ever wanted. Letting go is one of the hardest things to do, but it is also one of the most necessary. We hold on to people, situations, and emotions far longer than we should because we are afraid of change, afraid of being alone, afraid of what life will look like without them. But the truth is, the things you are afraid of letting go are often the very things holding you back. And at some point you have to decide whether you want to keep clinging to what no longer serves you or step into the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of release. Detachment is not about bitterness or indifference. It is about freedom. It is about recognizing that not everything or everyone is meant to be part of your future. Some people come into your life for a reason, some for a season, and very few for a lifetime. When you refuse to let go of those who have already served their purpose, you block yourself from receiving what is truly meant for you. Holding on to people who are no longer aligned with your growth only weighs you down. You cannot rise while carrying dead weight. We often make the mistake of believing that if we love hard enough, fight long enough, or stay patient enough, people will change. Relationships will improve, and situations will get better. But love does not fix what is broken if the other person does not want to heal. Time does not heal wounds when the same cycles keep repeating. And waiting for things to change when all the signs point to letting go only delays your own growth. Elevation requires separation. If you want to step into a new season, you have to be willing to leave certain things behind. Detachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to control what is not yours to fix. It means you stop forcing conversations that no longer flow, stop chasing people who do not choose you, and stop settling for relationships that drain more than they fulfill. It means recognizing when something has run its course and having the strength to walk away, with grace, without anger, without resentment. Just a quiet understanding that you deserve better. Letting go is not easy. There will be moments when you miss the past, when nostalgia makes you question your decision, when you wonder if you should have held on just a little longer. But remind yourself why you let go in the first place. Was it because you felt unappreciated? Because you were constantly giving but rarely receiving? Because the relationship became more about holding on to history than building a future? Whatever your reason, trust that it was valid. The past will always seem sweeter in hindsight, but you cannot grow by looking backward. There is peace in detachment. The moment you stop forcing what is not meant for you, you create space for what is. You stop allowing people to drain your energy. Stop participating in conversations that leave you empty. Stop fighting for people who would never fight for you. And in that space, you find yourself again. You find clarity, freedom, and a renewed sense of purpose. You realize that life moves forward, and so must you. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going, and that is okay. The right people will meet you at your level. The wrong ones will fall away. Let them. You are not losing anything of value when you release what no longer aligns with your growth. You are simply making room for the life you were always meant to live. Healing is not a straight path. It is a journey filled with ups and downs, moments of clarity followed by moments of doubt, and times when you feel strong, only to be reminded of old wounds. But the most important thing to remember is that healing is your responsibility. No one else can do it for you. No one else can take away your pain, undo the past, or fix what was broken inside you. It is up to you to decide that you will no longer let past disappointments, failed relationships, or betrayals define who you are or control where you are going. Too often we wait for an apology that will never come. We wait for closure, for someone to acknowledge the pain they caused, for an explanation that makes sense. But the harsh reality is, some people will never give you the closure you seek. They will move on as if nothing happened, as if they did not hurt you, as if your suffering was never their concern. And the longer you wait for something outside of yourself to heal you, the longer you remain stuck in a cycle of pain that no longer serves you. Healing begins the moment you decide to let go, not for them but for yourself. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think it means excusing what happened or pretending the pain never existed. But real forgiveness is not about them. It is about freeing yourself. It is about refusing to carry the weight of anger and resentment any longer. It is about choosing peace over bitterness, understanding that what is done, and allowing yourself to move forward without the burden of the past. When you keep reliving your pain, you give power to the people who hurt you. But when you release it, you take back control. Healing also requires self-reflection. It is easy to blame others, to point fingers, to see yourself as a victim of circumstances beyond your control. But part of healing is recognizing your own role in your struggles. It means asking yourself hard questions. Why did I allow certain behaviors? Why did I ignore the red flags? Why did I hold on for so long to something that was hurting me? Taking accountability is not about blaming yourself. It is about learning. It is about understanding your patterns so that you do not repeat them. It is about recognizing that you deserve better and making choices that reflect that realization. One of the most powerful parts of healing is learning to prioritize yourself. When you have been used to putting others first, focusing on your own well-being can feel uncomfortable at first. But self-care is not selfish. It is essential. It means setting boundaries without guilt, removing yourself from toxic situations without apology, and choosing relationships that nourish you rather than deplete you. It means finding joy in your own company, embracing solitude as a time for growth rather than fearing it as loneliness. Healing does not mean you will never feel pain again. It does not mean you will never think about the past or have moments of sadness. But it does mean that those thoughts and feelings will no longer control you. They will no longer dictate your happiness or keep you from embracing the future that is waiting for you. It means looking back without wanting to return, without longing for what was, because you know that what lies ahead is far greater than anything you left behind. The best thing you can do for yourself is to choose healing every single day. Choose to release the past. Choose to forgive, not for them, but for you. Choose to love yourself enough to walk away from anything that does not align with your peace. Choose to focus on yourself, knowing that your future is far too valuable to waste on people and situations that were never meant to stay.